We are. Unfortunately, our lions are also very sleepy at this stage, still digesting the remains of whatever they ate last night. We're still not convinced or know exactly what the Nkuhumas fed off. I had theorized that they were the ones that killed that buffalo up near Sydney's Dam and were chased off by the 3 Birminghams. Once they saw all 3 there, they thought, well, we're not going to get a look in here and let's move off. And then maybe, just maybe, they killed the other one and was chased off there too. But it would surprise me if they killed that other buffalo that we saw on quarantine, because I would have thought they would have gone back to it. I don't think they would have stood down to just one male. On top of that, there was really very little eaten off that, so maybe they killed somewhere else. It is possible, but they're still very sleepy. You can see they're all inside this quarry thicket. They have not moved an inch since I've left them this morning. This is exactly where I left every single member, effectively. There's just one lioness that has moved, which is the lioness that's lying out in the open. You can hear there's a couple of birds that are not very happy about the fact that the Nkuhuma Pride is lying here. Those birds are the green wood hoopers, and they're making a lot of noise in the background, and they're just probably quite upset about the fact that there are lions plastered all over underneath their trees. I wonder if they maybe have a nesting site or a roosting site here, and that's why they're a little bit upset about the lions being so close. But these lions are definitely not going to go too far. I don't think they're going to wake up anytime soon. At this stage, it's just buffalo coma all across the Sabi sands. I believe the 3 Birmingham boys are in a very similar state of recline at the moment. They're all sleeping. But what we'll do is, I think let's spend little time here with the Nkuhumas, see if maybe we get lucky. Maybe they wake up and decide to go for water. It's a pity that it's not a very hot day, because if it had been a hot day, I would have expected them to get up and go drink. Lorena, you say these are your favorite lions? Well, they are an incredible bunch of lions. They're probably some of the most beautiful females that I've seen. They're big, they're muscular, and they really are an efficient force. And we spoke about yesterday that the buffalo had arrived back and wondered if the Nkuhumas would latch onto them, and it took them no time at all to get involved and get stuck in. Between them and the Birminghams, they're a buffalo's nightmare. And it just amazes me that even though they've had so few opportunities to get buffalo, every single time we've had a buffalo on this property for any sort of reason, or group of buffalo, should I say, the Nkuhumas have arrived and have made a successful kill out of it. So they're a very talented bunch of lions, and it's so great that we got another generation that is hopefully going to join these guys, because at the end of the day we've got this younger female that's got these cubs, and we still don't know how many cubs in total. We know definitely 2, but I reckon there's more. I'm 100% convinced that she went and fetched more. So I'm hoping that at least sometime in the next few days, as we follow this process of her feeding off the kill, that we'll be able to follow her one day, because the thing is, now the den is closed just to go and look at it, but if we follow her and we go towards the den with her and she's happy enough to take us there, then we can at least get confirmation as to how many, and see actually if the den is in the same place or if she maybe shifted it a little bit. Sometimes they will move them around over the first few weeks as they move around and try and feed themselves. So with a kill like this, she might have moved them a little bit closer, so it's not such a long walk to go and suckle them every single time. So really great that we've got basically another grouping of lions that's going to come in, and hopefully it will keep the Nkuhuma Pride relatively close by during the summer months, because that female is not going to be able to move massive distances. She's not going to be able to go for weeks at a time away from here, because she's obviously got to feed her cubs. So hopefully that means that the Nkuhuma Pride becomes a lot more of a permanent fixture within this section, and I really hope that this young lioness is going to do well, and her cubs will be raised as well. It would be so great to see the Nkuhuma Pride go from the 5 lionesses. If these young females in the sub-adult survive, and then this new lioness with her cubs, if they also contribute to the growing of this pride, it would be absolutely fantastic. The thing is also, is these cubs are old enough, if there are males in there, that they might be able to join the young male from the Nkuhuma Pride at the end of the day. We know that this young male is going to have a tough life being on his own, but if there's males in this new litter, he's young enough that they might be able to stay for long enough together that they leave at the same time and they can become a coalition, which will be fantastic news for the pride itself. It's a long way to go. Obviously, we know that these lion cubs tend to have a tough time when they get to sort of a year old. The first 3-4 months are the hardest, but with the Birmingham boys seemingly in complete control of this area, I reckon that they're going to be just fine on that side of things. They're just going to have to worry about hyenas and leopards and any other stray male lions that might roam through here. I remember earlier that Taylor was talking about worms, and I was just thinking about stray lions, and I was thinking about the Solala young males that are fairly nomadic at the moment. They're not really moving around too much, and I remember actually seeing the one Solala male with a massive amount of worms, and it was during the drought last year. He was actually had 3 worms that were probably longer than his tail, that were coming out of him, and they dragged actually on the ground. Thinking about stray lions, and I was thinking about the Solala young males that are fairly nomadic at the moment. They're not really moving around too much, and I remember actually seeing the one Solala male with a massive amount of worms, and it was during the drought last year. He was actually had 3 worms that were probably longer than his tail, that were coming out of him, and they dragged actually on the ground for the whole sighting in the afternoon. Eventually the next day we saw him and they were no longer there, but it was quite a disturbing scene watching this lion walking around with these 3 tapeworms hanging out, what we think is tapeworms, hanging out of its backside and longer than its tail. It was really not the nicest, most pleasant thing I've ever witnessed. Now, our Nkuhumas are fast asleep. I think what we're going to do is put our IR on in preparation for them either waking up, but if they don't wake up in the next sort of 10-15 minutes, then we'll probably make our way to those b-boys and hope that they are going to vocalize. But while we do that, let's go across to Taylor, who's with her Birmingham boy and one of the Nkuhuma Pride. We have Jamie. We are using our infrared because it is starting to get a bit dark and dingy in this side of the world, and so our Nkuhumas have now converted themselves into black and white. Now, the female that we've got lying like this is actually giving us a nice opportunity to have a look and check up on her wound. So I'm going to quickly pop out of infrared and shine a spotlight just so we can see how her wound is doing, because she's lying with her legs fairly exposed, and the wound itself is there. You can see it's a little slit, but it is definitely healing. You can see it's healthy tissue there. There's no infection. There's no sort of necrosis of that area. So she's looking much better. And you can see she's been keeping it nice and clean, nice and groomed in that area. She's been licking a lot and making sure that she keeps it in a healthy condition. But I'm quite glad. It's smaller than the last time I saw it. It looks quite big and long, but it's definitely starting to close up a little bit. So she's looking much better than that big deep hole that we saw the other day. So I'm going to take my light off and we'll go back into infrared. I just wanted to quickly have a quick scan of her wound and make sure that she's looking okay. She certainly has got no ill effects otherwise. Her ear's healed up quite nicely. She had that little gash on her ear, and I was looking at that just now. There's really no sign of it being open anymore. It's all closed up. There's a little cub that's woken up. Now, it's that time of the day that they should start waking. Oh, bless you. That was a big sneeze. There's lots of dust in the air. Seb and I have been sneezing just like that the whole day, so we feel your pain, buddy. Or lady, should I say. It's a little girl that we've got there. That's the best thing about this these sub-adults, should we say, that we've got in the Nkuhuma Pride at the moment, is that they're all females besides one. So theoretically, the Nkuhuma Pride, if these guys all make it, should go to 10 lions. Now, can you imagine 10 Nkuhuma females walking around together and all being in big, healthy condition? I fear for any buffalo that comes across those 10 girls, because they're going to have a tough time of it. And hopefully, in the new litter, we'll have maybe 1 or 2 females and 1 or 2 males. It would be nice if there's 2 males there that can join our young boy that is here, and hopefully they can form a nice coalition of 3, and he'll be able to dominate somewhere in the future years. But you'll see that this is how it's going to start. A little bit of grooming, a little bit of sort of licking, and making sure that they get rid of any parasites that potentially have crawled on them during the day. Also get rid of any loose fur from rolling around, and then there'll be a bit of yawning, and from there they'll start to stand up and start moving. Their general direction was north during this morning, but I wonder if they're not going to turn back towards that carcass and towards quarantine. I'm surprised that with the vulture activity that they haven't already moved in that direction. I'm hoping that they will go for water at the dam again and go down to the dam cam, and then from there to the quarantine kill. I was saying to Seb, imagine if we come tomorrow and there's 4 Birminghams and the entire Nkuhuma Pride all around that buffalo. Wouldn't that be just the most incredible sight? I'm not sure if we've ever had that in Safari Live. Maybe you can let us know, hashtag Safari Live, or on the YouTube chat, if there's ever been a sighting of all 4 Birminghams with the Nkuhuma Pride. It would be really cool if we did. It would be such an epic shot of those guys, because we'd have 15 lions that are all big and healthy, and it would be an amazing sort of look, especially if they all walk down the road together. That would be the best if you could see that. Remember, there's a famous shot of the Majingaland males when I think there was 3 or 4 of them together with the Ifield Pride, if I remember correctly, and them walking down the road, and it's just amazing to see all these big males and females and cubs kind of So So Snazzy, you say, oh my goodness, imagine 10 girls in one family. Well, Snazzy, I don't have much experience with girls because I had a brother, so my poor mom was unfortunately had to deal with 3 boys. But Seb, you've got 2 ladies in your life. What's it like? Imagine having 10. Yeah, Seb is just shaking his head and just saying no chance. So Seb has got his wife and his daughter, and so imagine having 10 daughters, Seb. That would be a tough time of it. Seb has already said that he's going to have to get his gun license and make sure that he keeps everybody at bay as his daughter starts to get older. So for all those men out there that are thinking about that, you just settle down. Don't get any ideas. So Seb is nodding in agreement right now. But I think what we're going to do is, because of time frames and the fact that we're winding down, it's still going to take me 10 minutes to get towards the Birmingham. So because these girls are just so flat and so sleepy, we're going to head off to the Birminghams and hope that we can get the 3 of them roaring around Sydney's Dam, and that will then maybe inspire Taylor's ones to start roaring. That's the idea anyway. Whether it plays out is anyone's guess. But let's go to Taylor McCurdy and see what she thinks about having 10 sisters. If they all were like Taylor, I feel sorry for anyone that was around those 10.